Okay, so once you guys have all of your items and your sentences written, you've removed all the backgrounds and things, now it's just time to kind of arrange those items in an interesting way. What we're creating is called a motif, which is kind of like a piece of a pattern that gets repeated to create that full pattern. Up here in my top right corner, this is kind of one that I ended up using, but I'm going to show you how I got to that so you can kind of see where we're headed here in a minute. And these are just notes for me to make sure I don't miss anything when I record the video. So you can just go straight to your sheet that's hopefully finished and has your items and everything in it. And we just want to grab all these pictures. So I'm going to click one, and then if you hold the shift key down, you can click all the other ones and it selects them all together. Okay, I'm going to hit Control C to copy, or you can just right click and go to copy that way. And then I'm going to paste them in my empty space here. Okay, you guys will actually be making this in a completely new Google Slides. In fact, I should probably do that since that's what you're going to do. So I'm going to start my new Google Slides here. Because I also want to show you, we are going to make ours a specific size. So before I paste anything in here, I'm going to go to File, Page Setup, Custom. And I want to make this slide the exact same dimensions as just a piece of computer copy paper, which is 8.5 by 11. You could also switch these numbers and do a landscape, but I'm going to do this way. Okay, so the first thing, I want my my pattern to be made from a bunch of squares. So I can go ahead and delete this column. I got part of my chart that I don't really need, so I'm going to get rid of those. All right, because all I care about is the pictures, right? I'm also going to steal this little thing over here just so I can see it as I work. I don't have to replicate that, I guess, but all right. So now I'm just going to start grabbing the items here and arranging them in an interesting way. But to make sure it's in a square, I'm going to insert a shape and create a square, okay? Because obviously our canvas, our slide is a rectangle. So I'm going to hold shift so that this thing expands and it locks to a square. If I let go of shift, I can make rectangles, but I'm going to hit shift because I want to make sure I'm working with a square, okay? Doesn't matter what color it is because I just want it for like a frame anyway. So now I'm going to start arranging my items. And I'm glad that happened because you also want to click this box, right click it, and go to order and send it to the back. So that way everything that we use, all these items, can be in front of it, okay? All right, so now I just want to make something interesting. You can, again, hold shift so that this thing expands height and length, I guess length and width equally. Put my thing there. I can also rotate, right? I could flip things as well. So let's say I want to put my tree here like that, make it a little larger, slide it over. And this is why we didn't want those backgrounds in there, because obviously if all these items had white squares around them, we couldn't get them really close to each other, right? We can also flip this. So I'm going to right click and go to Format Options. And there's a lot of things you can do here. You can resize and rotate by typing things in, but I just like to click and drag them. But you can also flip them. So see how the Bronco switches directions if you flip it that way. That's obviously flipping it vertically around a vertical axis, and this is if I want to flip it upside down. So you can play with those things. The angle, again, you can type in, or you can just manipulate it with the handles here. So I'm going to rotate that, slide that one in there, make it a little bit larger, holding shift again so that I expand it equally. The Legos, I can rotate those. Okay. I don't want a lot of empty space, but it's okay if you have some space between your items. Just kind of try to make this as interesting as I can. There's my classic Nintendo controller. Shrink that down so it fits within my square. I might make it a little more parallel to my paintbrush there. My leaf, move that a little bit. You can also nudge these with just your arrow keys on your computer if you just want it to move a little bit. You can see how much that moves. If you want to move it 1 pixel, which is even like a really, the smallest amount possible, if you're trying to do something very detailed, hold the shift button down on your keyboard first, and then see how it moves just ever so slightly. If you're trying to get things very precise, that is a useful trick to know. All right, my last thing is my camper, so I will rotate this one, make it a little larger, shrink it back down to fit. All right, so there's my composition. Now, what if I wanted to change the color of these things? I want to change all these things, so I'm holding shift and selecting all of them. Okay, and then I'm going to go to format options again, and this time I will go to recolor. I chose blue, but there's a bunch of different options you can do. So I'll go to blue here. You can also play with these adjustments. So opacity we probably want to leave. That's how transparent or see-through it is. I'm going to leave that up. I see that I missed my brush here, so I'm going to click that as well. I can play with the brightness, so make it brighter blue or darker blue. And then I can also mess with the contrast, so just making the darks darker and the lights lighter. All right. So with all those kind of tips and tricks, that is how you can kind of arrange your pieces. The reason we made it in a square, though, is so we can do this. I can delete this square now just because I know it all fits in a square. In fact, in the next video, I'm going to show you how to take this thing and make it into a pattern. But for now, we just want to select it all. So I just made sure I could make a box. I clicked and dragged, selected everything, right-click, and then go to group. Okay. Now this thing works as one. I click once and everything is always selected. I could still, if I wanted to, click again to change one of the items, but that way it kind of stays together in the composition that we just made. We can also shrink it down and so on. Okay, go ahead and make your motif, make your composition, and in the next video I'll show you how we'll take this and basically copy and paste it and flip it a bunch of times to make it into a pattern.